Welcome, everybody. My name is Mary Jane Suarez Partain, and I am the Program Director for Women in Cybersecurity, WiCyS as we're known. And we're here today to talk to you about the AI Security Accelerator program that is opening. We've got our friends from SANS also joining us, Max and Chris. And we're going to be sharing out this program with you today to garner interest and to get you excited about this new opportunity. Just some things that we're going to review is the mission, the program that's going to be happening. We're going to go into the curriculum so that you can understand the commitment that you'll be making and the learning outcomes that you'll have, how to apply, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. So Women in Cybersecurity is a 501c3. We've been around for over a decade, and our goal and our mission is to recruit, retain, and advance women in cybersecurity. And we see ourselves as a workforce solution to help find and fight that critical workforce shortage within the field of cybersecurity. And I've already said this a couple times. We go by the acronym WiCyS, as in We Sisters. So if you hear about WiCyS, that's who it is: Women in Cybersecurity. This is just one of the many program offerings that we have. If you are a member, you're aware of all the resources and opportunities that you have once you join the WiCyS platform. And what we look to do is help move you through your career as we recruit, retain, and advance women for this for cybersecurity workforce. We want to make sure that you're plugged in wherever and whenever we can, from helping you build skill sets to helping you build community, to inviting you to our annual conference, which is coming up in the next couple of months. We want to make sure that you have everything that you need in order to learn more about the career, in order to gain skill sets within the career, and to be successful and feel supported as you look into this new opportunity. And we wouldn't be anywhere without the partners that help us fund our programs. We are eternally grateful, especially our tier one folks: Akamai, Amazon, Bloomberg, Cisco, Ford, Google, Lockheed Martin, Optum, Palo Alto, SANS, and SentinelOne. These organizations pour not only resources into the organization, but also their staff, helping to build up our programs. They serve as mentors, and they really help to provide a fulfilling experience for all of our members. If you're interested in learning more about women in cybersecurity, I would encourage you to go to our website at WiCyS.org, click on subscribe. You can do this whether you're a member or not, and it gives you information. We publish a monthly newsletter letting you know about the comings and goings and the opportunities involved within our organization. So now let's get started talking about our program, and I will hand it over to Max.
Thank you, MJ. Appreciate it. So pleasure to be here today. Hope everyone's enjoying their Thursday. My name is Max Shufton. I'm the head of mission and partnerships at the SANS Institute. For those who don't know, SANS is a cybersecurity training organization, global organization that's been around for over 35 years, whose mission is focused on empowering individuals with the skills they need to perform cybersecurity jobs and either get into and start or advance in their cybersecurity careers. And that's done through a variety of training courses, industry certifications, cyber ranges, summits, educational programs, and more. The partnership with WiCyS goes back many years for SANS, and it's one we're incredibly proud of. SANS and WiCyS have worked together for over 10 years. We've been a partner to WiCyS, as MJ talked about earlier, had a presence at their conference, done talks together, but also over the last 6 years, really started to dive into programming together. Most prominently with the WiCyS Security Training Scholarship, which is now in its 6th year and focused on enabling WiCyS members to start careers in cybersecurity, but also with other programs such as executive cyber exercises for leaders, as well as now a cyber range tournament for practitioners looking to get hands-on experience in a gamified format. And so as we looked ahead to our programming for 2026, one of the questions we asked ourselves is one that is paramount throughout the industry right now in dialogue across sectors. What does artificial intelligence mean for cybersecurity? What does it mean in terms of, how attackers are using AI for malicious reasons? And how do organizations in the public sector and the private sector, how do they use artificial intelligence to better implement cyber defense? How do they secure the AI tools they're using for business implementation and transformation? And how do they create different AI governance paths to govern how their staff, both cyber and non-cyber, are using AI tools? And that's a real fear, but it's also an opportunity. And so in our discussions together between WiCyS and SANS, we felt the best thing to do was to get a pilot program underway and have an impact. And we're thankful that this program represents the launch of that today. And thanks as well to the state of Maryland Department of Labor for their support in making that happen with WiCyS and SANS. And so, the program vision at a high level is really coming back to that. What do we see right now? Well, with the rapid adoption of AI technology, with the increased use of it in the business world and the government world, the call of the administration to use it more and to innovate, and the use of it on the attacker side, there is a need to ensure people have AI cybersecurity skills, because while it is an opportunity, it also represents a threat from a cyber standpoint. Maryland, at the same time, is a hub for cybersecurity innovation and tech. As many of you know, it has led the way both with organizations that are based in Maryland and programs that are centered there in creating a strong cyber workforce and enhancing resilience. And so that is why we came to Maryland to try to bring this AI Security Accelerator program to fruition. And we're proud to do that today. And so the goal of the program, simply put, is to build AI cybersecurity capabilities in Maryland. It is not focused on helping people get into the field. It's helping those who are in the field that want to become experts, that want to become specialists in using AI for cybersecurity to do so and achieve that goal. And so it is focused on mid-career professionals that MJ will talk a little bit more about later, in terms of whether you're a SOC analyst, a forensics examiner, a GRC analyst, a security policy analyst, helping you become an AI security specialist to get into some of the emerging roles that are already popping up and that we see coming in the years to come, that will rely on individuals who have extreme proficiency in using AI cybersecurity tools, understand the governance, and so on. And so advancing those WiCyS members that get into this program with those specialized skills, that is what we plan to do in the coming months. And what does that mean? Well, it means that the cohort that gets into this program will go through a series of different training courses, all focused on AI cybersecurity skills from different lenses. Chris will talk about that in a few minutes. During the program, there'll be mentorship and student advising for students going through the journey. So you're not off on your own for months and months. You have student advisors checking in with you to make sure you're on track. You have all the course and training access and lab access you need. You have mentors who are industry practitioners who have these skills, connecting in synchronous meetings, building community, talking through challenges you're running into training, helping with professional growth. And then finally, with some of the courses on the latter half of the program, there will be the opportunity to achieve the GIAC certification as well, which is the certification arm of the SANS Institute. So several of the training courses in this program lead to prepare you for a GIAC certification, which will help validate the hands-on skills and knowledge you've developed in your training. And whether it's your current employer or future employer, enable you in that job growth and pursuit of a new career path. On that note, I do want to kind of just take a look at the timeline here. I am going to pause, and MJ, if you want to jump in a little bit, but we are getting started, right away, and we'll have applications open now, and there's a series of activities to come.
Thank you, Max. I just kind of want to reiterate, this timeline is on our website. If you go to WiCyS.org and look at the AI Security Accelerator program page, you'll find this timeline. And as Max said, it's an opportunity to kind of go through the educational program, learn the skill sets, and then get GIAC certifications if you qualify for them towards the end. Our application process opened up last week, and it's through the 21st. And then today is the launch webinar. Decision emails will be sent out on the 23rd with the commitment form coming back from you guys by the 31st. After we have our full cohort in place, we'll publish the date for the kickoff webinar. That's really an orientation for you to ask us questions about the learning commitment and the program in and of itself. And then the rest of the timeline is laid out here. It's basically a 5-month commitment through the program. It ends in July of this year. But probably the most dominant things that you need to know as you apply for this program, touching base on things that Max has already said, it is for mid-career, so 3 to 10 years. Because this is a Maryland-funded program, you must either live or work in Maryland. This is funding for 20 spots within this program, so we are limited to that criteria, and we will be asking for documentation as you go through the application process. So as you're deciding whether or not this is a good fit or a good opportunity for you, things that you've got to be either working or living in Maryland, you have to be mid-career, and you have to be able to make the time commitment. Some of this work is going to be done offline in your own time, but you still have to adhere to the timelines that are presented. I also just want to kind of piggyback again on something that Max said. with all of the program that WiCyS offers, something that we're very mindful of is that we try to give you a community so that you feel supported. You're going to have technical mentors that are going to check on you, make sure that you're doing fine in the coursework, or answer questions as you struggle. And towards the end of the program, you're going to have access to career professionals who are going to help you review your resume, figure out, what are the next best steps for you if you're unemployed, underemployed, or an incumbent employee, so that you can get into that next level career or into a new career that helps you, that aligns with these skill sets. And again, because this is a government funded program, there is going to be documentation that's required, and we are going to need to check up and check on you as you progress through and you earn that next promotion or that new job. So just be aware of all those commitments as you decide whether or not this is a good fit for you and you apply. So the next person that we want to make sure that jumps on this call is Chris. He's going to go over the curriculum to kind of give you an overview of what to expect as you go through the program. Chris?
Yeah, and I'll just jump in there quickly, just to introduce Chris. He is the field CISO and VP of AI security at SANS. So he really stands at the intersection of frontier AI innovation and the real world cybersecurity defense. Chris served in the Marine Corps, and he's had cybersecurity leadership roles at organizations like Netflix, Mandiant, and others. So he's been on the front lines, leading security teams, performing security tasks. So the perspective he shares today will really be that how is AI impacting cybersecurity teams, and why are the types of skills you'll learn in these courses needed to perform new and emerging roles.
Thanks, Max. Thanks, MJ. So let me put this program into perspective for everybody and just explain exactly why this is so awesome. So I've been a student of technology. I've been a student of business for a really long time. And I would say that, I really admired the Industrial Revolution. I admired the dawn of the internet, right? A lot of technological change happened across the entire globe. I would say, in my opinion, that the AI change, this transformation, is bigger than both of those combined. I've been spending, I would say, the last few years really focused on understanding how exactly this technology is changing both inside of our organizations, but then also across the globe and from a societal perspective. One of the big things that I'm a member of the American Society for Artificial Intelligence, and we're working on how do different nations work together. I'm a part of this organization called the Presidential AI Challenge, and I'm working with children. And so I've never seen such a technological expansion like we've seen with artificial intelligence. And so at SANS, we really want to stay on the cutting edge of all of this technology. So we really went and found the best possible folks to pull together these courses for everyone to learn about artificial intelligence. What's really, really cool, and I want to really impress this upon everybody, is that the fact of a lot of these technologies, things like RAG, right, retrieval augmented generation, and even to some extent, even the LLMs that we're using today, a lot of these different technologies didn't exist a few years ago. And some are even sooner than that. Maybe 6 months ago, some of these technologies didn't exist. So for folks getting in right now and really learning this technology, you all are the pioneers that are going to be changing the way we operate from a cybersecurity perspective, especially when you're leveraging artificial intelligence. So for those of you that are more on the defensive side, so looking at something like Sec 411, this is where we're looking at that LLM defense and generative AI. These are the practices of making sure that you're operating as securely as possible. One of the big issues with artificial intelligence is that we're using a probabilistic model inside of a organization that has a lot of moving pieces. We're going to give that probabilistic model access to tools and information, and all of that stuff gets really squirrely really quickly. If anyone here has done anything with identity management, knowing that you have to give people exactly what they need access to and no more than that. But when we leverage things like AI agents, we tend to give them access to everything. But then everyone that has access to that agent now has access to all of that information. So really understanding what is the architecture inside of an organization when it comes to leveraging generative AI. Things like prompt injection, right? Prompt injection isn't something that you can just completely patch away. It's going to be ever present, but understanding what prompt injection is, how do you prevent things like data exposure, giving too much agency to an agent, this is what this course is all about. This is taking it a step further. This is building and securing that agentic systems like we were talking about, leveraging RAG, that retrieval augmented generation. This is giving it access to the information inside of your organization so that it doesn't hallucinate information. It doesn't tend to rely on its training data. It's actually pulling from the information that's in your environment, that's a part of your systems, so it can help you make the best decisions and take the best actions. One of the big things for 2026 is going to be context and context engineering, because, right, you can have all of these agents, you can have all of these different models, and they have great capabilities, but if it doesn't have the right information, the information that matters to you, it's not near as powerful. But when you give it access to this information, this is where you can really start to change things. You can find information, you can synthesize different things within your environment in order to make decisions that maybe you wouldn't have made otherwise. So this is a really good course for that. If you're more on the offensive side, and even if you're on the defense side, but really want to understand how do folks leverage artificial intelligence for offensive operations. One thing I'll tell you about right now is that one of the biggest agents right now in cybersecurity comes from an organization called Expo. And up until recently, Expo was the #1 on the leaderboard for HackerOne in the United States. That's an agent. That's not a person. That's not a team. That is a single agent that does all of this work from an offensive security perspective. And now I'm thinking about, that's great that they're on our side, but what if there was something on the other side? So what does that say? That says that there's going to be solutions, there's going to be agents, there's going to be criminal enterprises that are leveraging artificial intelligence to attack our infrastructure. So what do we need to do on our end? We need to emulate that. We need to start to think from an adversarial mindset. How do we leverage AI to help defend ourselves from an offensive standpoint? So being able to poke the holes, being able to figure out exactly how would an attacker leverage AI to attack me and my organization. SEC 545, this is securing different applications and LLM workflows. This is more focused on like cloud hosted LLMs, thinking about things like supply chain threats. One thing that I'll tell you right now is there's tons of folks out there that are leveraging models from Hugging Face, which is basically like a big shopping mall for different models. And what happens is you don't know exactly who's developing some of these models, and people tend to use them and bring them into their systems. But it even gets more squirrely than that. Even if you're leveraging a model that comes from a very reputable place, they might be poisoned by the data training, the data that they were trained on. So being able to understand what is the supply chain process, how do you take that through its own threat model and really understand what are the things that I might need to build in compensating controls to ensure that the application that we're leveraging, the application that we're exposing to our customers is as safe as possible. Here's one that I absolutely love. This is the SEC 598. This is AI security automation for red, blue, and purple teams. So one of the big things that I did at Netflix, I did the first purple team engagement there at Netflix. And so what is that? If you're not familiar, purple team engagements are all about taking that red side, that offensive security mindset, and then poking holes in the blue side to see if your detection engineering is working, to see if your incident response processes are working as intended. And so this is going to sort of like bring everything full circle. It's going to leverage artificial intelligence on the automation side to figure out, hey, how do we do detection engineering leveraging artificial intelligence? How do we use artificial intelligence when it comes to leveraging things in the cloud, AWS? But then also, how do we take artificial intelligence and test all of our detections? How do we test ourselves to make sure that we are constantly iterating, right? So the path to mastery is all about those iterative steps. Even if you're 0.01% better than you were yesterday, you're still on that path to greatness. And so this is what that course is all about. 595, this is where you're going pretty deep on building and hunting with artificial intelligence. So hunting, when you think about hunting, you're thinking about your hypothesis, right? You have this idea, or maybe you have threat intelligence that says, hey, this is an attack that either is happening or could happen. And so then you're going to dive in to your own mechanisms to find out what does that look like from an AI perspective, right? If I'm developing something with machine learning, what are some of those detections that I'll need to have in my system? Being able to spot things like 0 days, having something like an expo-like agent inside your organization to be able to find some of that stuff is what this course is all about. And here we're going to just talk real briefly about what the world is going to look like going forward. Now, some of the roles on here exist today. Roles like AI prompt engineer, right, on the security side. But some of these roles don't even exist quite yet, or variations of them today, but not quite to the full extent. But I'm telling you right now, there are organizations out there right now, you might have even seen this in the news, that they have let people go in their organization because they weren't able to, quote unquote, adapt to artificial intelligence. It was one company that I think their plan was to let go of 11,000 people that were unable to learn AI, whatever that means to that organization. And so what does that mean for us? That means that we need to figure out what this AI stuff is, build AI skills into our processes, into our tool belt, because even if you're working at a company right now, you might not be working at that company forever. And so when you go to that next company, you want to have these skills in your back pocket to say, like, I understand artificial intelligence. I've had hands on keyboard when it comes to some of this stuff. And so I am no stranger to the chaotic world of artificial intelligence. And so, definitely want to kick it over to Q&A.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, I think, what you close with there really underscores the AI Security Accelerator program is really about preparing today's cybersecurity professionals to defend tomorrow's systems. And so by combining these types of trainings, the mentorship, achieving the certification on the latter end of the program, with the trust WiCyS and SANS have together, and in all the participants that come, we can create a model for AI security workforce development right here in Maryland. So hopefully folks watching are excited about the potential program. You can apply on the WiCyS website now, right, MJ? I believe it's open.
Yes, it's open now. We've already got applications. Yes.
Great. So you can apply now, but we are here for your questions now as well.
So the questions, I've been answering them as you guys were talking. And before we move into this section, I just want to say thank you so much, Chris and Max, for your dedication and your expertise and your partnership. Chris, when you were defining the curriculum, it's really exciting. And as somebody who is not, doesn't have a background in cyber, it's very, very exciting to hear these opportunities to learn. Some of the questions that I've seen in the chat that we just may want to address are, yes, this specific opportunity is only for people that live and work in Maryland. We are actively searching and seeking out additional funding opportunities to remove that geographic parameter. We would like to offer it to those outside of Maryland, but for this specific pilot program that is specific to the Maryland area, you must live or work in there, and is specific for 20 folks. Mid-career is defined as 3 to 10 years. That's a question, again, that we're getting. We're also having people ask, do I have to have any AI expertise? No, we're going to help you develop that as part of the program. So that we want you to have experience within the field, again, 3 to 10 years within cyber RT, but we're going to help you and bring you through some of the basic elements. As Chris was explaining the curriculum, the very first course is 411, and that gives you some basic structure, things that you should be looking at for learning points, starting points for those learning points. And so our goal is to help upskill you within this area. And the genesis behind this program is really so many employers seeking out this very specific and the willingness to get experience within this area. And then also on the federal side of things, there have been a lot of supportive talking points, papers about learning AI and having AI built into the workforce. Something that we're constantly talking about is, the importance of cybersecurity and the protection of infrastructure. And AI is the new both weapon and cure for some of those fragilities and pain points within the cyberstructure infrastructure. There are some additional questions in here. Some of them we've already answered. Again, are there any opportunities out of Maryland? We're building those out. This program is completely virtual. So somebody had a question in the chat about, do you have to go in person? The in-person portion of the program is attending the conference. And the WiCyS conference is in Maryland this year, March 11th through 13th. And if you are selected to be in the program, you'll be offered that opportunity. And it is not a first come, first serve application selection process. There's very specific criteria that we have as part of this grant and specific types of folks that they're looking for. We're looking for unemployed people that have been let go by the federal government. So unemployed, underemployed, and incumbent workers. Once you go on the website and you look at incumbent workers, that means you're already within the field. So that's the definition that we're using for this grant program. Is there a citizenship requirement for this program? You must be eligible to work in the US to apply for this program and to participate. So,
Chris, do you see Tara's question? I wonder if you could take a crack at that one. I work specifically in supply chain risk and resilience. And what's the best path to AI?
Yeah, so I mean, that's one of the most important things in cybersecurity right now. And in fact, I was just helping out another student figure out exactly which courses they need to take, because number one, they are on the GRC side, but they aren't a cybersecurity native, but then also they don't have artificial intelligence as a background. So there are specific courses that go a little bit more deep on the governance, risk, and compliance side. They're really on the focused on controls and things like that. But we have some of our more classic classes that now have artificial intelligence added to them. And so we have an entire catalog focused on the leadership and GRC side of the house. And that does include AI as well.
We've got some questions about, again, just kind of reiterate, you do need to live or work in Maryland currently to apply for this program. And as part of the program, you're going to be invited to the WiCyS conference, and that is a scholarship for attendance. So there would be no out of pocket for you on that.
And I see a question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just saying, I see a question about governance and artificial intelligence. So that's actually a huge issue right now, right? Because you're looking at governance from a few different levels, right? There's governance at the corporate level, there's governance at the national level, and then there's governance at the international level. And there's gaps in just about all of the levels that you can think about. There are some organizations that are highly regulated, and so they definitely have to have governance in one way or another. Looking at things like ISO as a platform for governance, looking at the EU AI Act for the organizations that have presence overseas in the UK or in England. There is definitely governance. And in fact, if you're in governance and you're really looking to make your name in cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, I would say now is really the time to do it, because all of this stuff is being created as we speak. If you look at the national level, right, there was just that executive order that came out about the states and how they want to have one big unified framework for how do you govern artificial intelligence. But it's not here yet. So what does that mean? That means that we are now the people that are helping dictate what does governance look like for artificial intelligence. And so when I'm talking about the industrial revolution, when I'm talking about the dawn of the internet, and I'm like, oh man, I wish I was doing stuff then. Like, this is now that time. This is the time where we are really shaping what the rest of the world's going to look like going forward.
There's some questions in the chat about the application process. I would just say the essay that's on there, make sure that you answer it fully and completely. You need to be currently living and residing in Maryland to apply for the grant, for the program. A terminal degree does not disqualify you from this program.
Yeah, and then in terms of the, you know, I think if you participated in the security training scholarship or the mentorship program, I would just mention that out in the application, right, MJ?
Yes, definitely. Any kind of affiliation that you've had with WiCyS, we can typically pull that up in our database, but it's always helpful when you're applying. And I would just say be very, open and honest in your application about why you want to be in the field. What would this program mean to you as far as elevating you in your career path and your future plans? Because that's typically the goal of the program that we have is we want to see people that have determination and grit continue to succeed, and we want to provide those resources so that they can. There's questions about offering this course in the UK. We would love to offer it without any geographic restrictions. And as soon as we get funding for that, that is 100% going to happen. And we are in the process of seeking out funding. If you want to keep up to date, again, I would encourage you to subscribe to our newsletter or monitor our website.
In terms of the GIAC, I saw that question. So yes, for the courses, the two electives that each have GIACs, for 535, for example, you would complete the training, check in, weekly with your student advisor, have sessions with the mentor. And then at the end of that period from the timeline for 535, you would take the GOAA, the GIAC, I think it's Offensive AI Analyst certification. And then you would proceed to the second elective. And if you do 595, you would do the same thing. You'd take the training for approximately, I don't remember if it's 80 or 90 days, and then you would take the GMLE, the GIAC Machine Learning Engineer certification. There's no extra fee to take the GIAC certification. It's part of the program. On the nights and times, this is an ad hoc, primarily asynchronous program. So the training's completed via the SANS on-demand platform, because obviously folks will have day jobs for the most part. So you won't need to, be in a classroom. They're usually, the student advisors will schedule some kind of regular check-in, and the mentor will schedule some kind of regular, meeting. So those would be the synchronous portions of the program. They will also be virtual.
And Chris, there's a question in here for you about AI ethics.
Yeah, so there isn't a lot of content right now around AI ethics. Actually, that's one of the big things that I'm driving for curriculum this year, is to include a lot of the AI ethics and even AI safety information into our courseware. So that's going to be incoming.
There's some additional questions about, if you've got 3 months shy of 3 years experience. I would say if you think you're in the window, apply. There was also a question in here about being unemployed. You do not have to be unemployed. This grant offers opportunities for those that are unemployed, underemployed, and currently incumbent, which means you're currently working in the field already. So there are opportunities for all three.
Yeah, I can take the selectives one. Yes. So let me just back up and just go through these. So you'll open the program by taking the 411 course. Everyone will do that, all 20 students. Then move into the 495 course, all 20 students. There'll be some mentor sessions and instructor talks. And then the students will have the option to take either the 535 or 545 at the next stage. And then in the final stage, they'll take either 598 or 595. So each student will take 4 courses, 411, 495, one of these two, 535 or 545, and one of these two, 598 and 595.
There's a question in here, Chris, about how much daily, weekly commitment should they set aside for the courses that they're going to be involved in for 5 months?
Oof. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, number one, it depends on the length of the course. And then number two, it depends on how it's being administered. Is this going to be weekly, or is this one boot camp week?
Let's go back to the timeline. It is a bit, I'm trying to get the answer in my head, MJ, because it's not 3 long courses like most of these programs. So
Correct.
yeah, 411, and I think it's about 15 hours, right, Chris? 12, 15 hours, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
There's no cert, but again, you might want to revisit all the material twice in there, so you might end up spending 30 hours or 20 hours. 495 it's a 1 day, so it's 6 hours. Again, no exam, but you might want to revisit the material twice. For the latter 2 stages, I feel more comfortable saying, you're going to take roughly 40 hours of training, and then we would recommend you're spending 50 to 60 hours to study for the cert. So you're looking at about 100 hours each for those 2 latter tracks. But all in, you're looking at 220 hours across that many months. If I did math right.
Sorry, there's a question in here about Slack. We do offer either Slack or Discord in all of our programs because we want to make sure that there's a community of support. So we use those platforms so the technical mentors can provide information, so the program manager that's managing the program can provide you any important updates, and so that you can communicate with one another and support and build up each other as you're progressing through the program. And you do need to be a current member to be in the program. If you go to our webpage and click on Join Us, there's information there for you. There's a question about study materials. I know typically, Max, we have both the online stuff and then they get manuals. Do they still get the physical manuals too?
Yep. You will get, online course access to obviously the training, the labs, quizzes, and then ebooks and physical books. And the certification attempt.
Oh, there's a question in here about if you fail, do you get a second chance to take the certification?
Yeah, so the standard policy SANS and WiCyS follow for these programs, similar to STS, is, and there'll be a policy outlined in the student guide or policy book, which is if you achieve, I don't remember the exact number, but close to passing if you fail the exam, and you've been a dedicated member of the cohort, you've taken both practice tests, you've completed the training, and you write a study plan, we'll usually provide a free retake. If you haven't done those things, if you decided to go on vacation to Cancun and then you happen to fail an exam, you can pursue the retake. You would just have to pay for it out of pocket.
And the technical mentors will provide you information on timeline, deadlines, and things of that nature. Also the program manager. If you're concerned with, how much time do you have left to study, all those timelines will be reviewed. Okay, I think we've answered everything. We've got 0 questions in here. Thank you so much, Chris and Max, for this overview. I really appreciate the time and attention and the partnership that you've given to WiCyS to help launch this program. And again, there were a lot of questions about having a non-geographically based program. We're working on it. And as soon as we have it out there, we'll make sure that we shout it from the rooftops. So thank you, everyone, for joining us for this session. If you want to go back and revisit the comments, you can. We'll be sending out a recording or a link to a recording. Thank you for taking the time to hang out with us today to learn more about the WiCyS AI Security Accelerator program. And we look forward to launching the program soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.